You won't believe the glow-up we are witnessing right now. It is the kind of transformation that makes most Hollywood scripts look totally boring. We are talking about a company that used to just make your video games look pretty, suddenly becoming the most powerful entity on the entire planet. Seriously, if you had told anyone 10 years ago that a graphics card company would become the backbone of the global economy, they would have laughed you out of the room. But here we are in 2024, and the name on everyone's lips isn't a social media giant or a car manufacturer. It is Nvidia. It is like that quiet kid in the back of the class who spent all summer at the gym and came back as a world-class athlete with a $1 trillion bank account. Let's look at the receipts, because the numbers are absolutely jaw-dropping. Nvidia didn't just join the $1 trillion club. They basically kicked the door down and took over the VIP section. Their stock value has skyrocketed in a way that feels like a glitch in the simulation. We are talking about a rise so fast and so steep that Wall Street analysts are literally losing their minds trying to keep up. Is it just a fluke, or are we looking at the new main character of the global economy? For decades, names like Apple and Microsoft were the untouchable titans. But Nvidia has swiped the spotlight. They aren't just a tech company anymore. They are the foundation upon which the entire future is being built. If the global economy was a house, Nvidia just bought the land, the wood, and the blueprints. But what is everyone actually buying? Enter the H100 chip. Now, this isn't just some boring piece of hardware you stick in a computer. This is the Birkin bag of Silicon Valley. It is the ultimate status symbol, but instead of leather, it is made of pure, unadulterated computing power. Every billionaire you know, from Elon Musk to Mark Zuckerberg, is absolutely desperate to get their hands on them. They aren't just ordering a few, they are buying them by the tens of thousands. Why? Because without these chips, you simply cannot play the AI game. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. If you want to build the next world-changing AI, you have to pay the Nvidia tax. It has become a global scavenger hunt where the prize is the ability to shape the future of intelligence itself. You won't believe what they were doing 30 years ago versus where they are now. Are we witnessing the birth of a tech empire that will last for centuries? Or is this the biggest financial bubble about to burst right in our faces? The drama is real, folks. Nvidia is effectively stealing the spotlight from the former giants who used to rule the roost. Remember Intel? Remember AMD? They were the kings of the dot-com era and the hardware world. Now they are watching from the sidelines as the old guard gets left in the dust. It is like a corporate soap opera where the young disruptor has officially taken the throne and the former monarchs are left wondering where it all went wrong. The sheer speed of this takeover is what has everyone shook. The gossip summary is simple. AI has become the obsession of the year, and Nvidia positioned itself as the exclusive supplier of the brain power needed to run it all. But who is the man behind the iconic leather jacket? Was this all a calculated master plan, or did they just get incredibly lucky? Is Jensen Huang a genius, or just the luckiest CEO in history? Before they were the kings of AI, they were literally eating at a roadside diner, trying to figure out how to survive. Let's dish on the origin story that sounds like a movie script, a journey that started with a dream and a breakfast menu at a booth in a roadside Denny's. Can you imagine the scene? Three guys sitting in a booth, drinking cheap coffee, and planning to change the world while the waitress asks if they want more pancakes. It sounds humble, because it was. They had no idea that they were about to build a monster that would eventually swallow the tech industry whole. They were just trying to make better graphics for games, yet they ended up building the engines for the next stage of human evolution. Stay tuned. Because the transition from gaming cards to artificial intelligence dominance is a wild ride full of risks that almost ended in total disaster for everyone involved. So who is the man behind the legend? If you have seen any tech conference lately, you have definitely seen Jensen Huang. He is the protagonist of this whole saga. Let's talk about his vibe. That signature black leather jacket, it is not just a clothing choice. It is a total power move. It has become his uniform. While other CEOs try to look like relatable dads, Jensen looks like he is ready to race through a neon-lit cyberpunk city. That jacket represents his consistent vision. He is cool, focused, and always the smartest guy in the room. Before he was the leather-clad icon, he was just a guy with a dream and a serious appetite for breakfast food. The T on Nvidia's founding is that it didn't start in some fancy penthouse. It started in a booth at a roadside Denny's in 19 1993, Jensen and his co-founders weren't sipping expensive lattes. They were drinking bottomless coffee and plotting their takeover over Grand Slam breakfasts. They spent hours making sketches on napkins, figuring out how to survive in a market that didn't even fully exist yet. It is the ultimate humble beginning. They were 3 engineers with a dream to make computers handle 3D graphics better, and they were willing to work in a greasy spoon diner to make it happen. Every celebrity story needs a rock bottom. Nvidia's journey hasn't been all sunshine. In the mid-1990s, the company almost went completely bankrupt. They were one bad decision away from being canceled. Their first chip was a disaster because it didn't follow the standards Microsoft was setting. They were down to their last few weeks of cash, and the vibes were not great. It was a terrifying near-death experience. Jensen took a massive gamble on the Riva 128, a chip that saved their lives. They were playing high-stakes poker with their future, and luckily, they hit the jackpot as the clock was ticking down. This brings us to the ultimate frenemy situation with the old guard. For years, Nvidia was just the scrappy underdog compared to giants like Intel and AMD. Back then, Intel was the king of the mountain. Nvidia was seen as a niche company that only cared about gamers. Intel and AMD probably thought they had the market cornered, but Jensen was playing the long game. The tension between these companies is legendary. It is like a high school drama, where the niche gamer brand eventually grows up to be the boss. Now, Intel and AMD are wondering how they let this company steal the crown. In 2006, Jensen made a move that left everyone scratching their heads. He invested billions into a software platform called CUDA. This allowed their graphics chips to perform complex mathematical calculations. At the time, Wall Street was totally confused. They were mocking Nvidia for wasting money on something no one was using yet. Jensen saw a future no one else could see. He was building the road for a car that hadn't been invented. For years, that investment looked like a mistake, but he didn't blink. He knew the world would need massive parallel processing power. We can't forget that before they were AI masterminds, they were the kings of the GeForce era. They were the gaming influencers of hardware. Inside their greenhouse headquarters, the culture is legendary. Rumors say it is a high-pressure environment where everyone is expected to perform at an elite level. They have a speed of light mentality that keeps them miles ahead. They lived and breathed gaming, but all that expertise was secretly building the muscle they needed for something much bigger. They were training for the biggest technological shift in human history. They had the chips, they had the software, and they had an intense work culture. But even then, they still needed a big bang moment to change the world. Trust me, when that moment finally arrived, it didn't just change Nvidia. It changed everything for everyone. The fuse was lit, and the explosion was going to be louder than anything the tech world had ever heard before. Nvidia was standing on the edge of greatness, waiting for the world to finally catch up to their vision. And when the world finally did, the result was a revolution that started at a diner. That big bang moment finally arrived in late 2022, and its name was ChatGPT. When OpenAI dropped that bombshell on the world, everyone's jaw hit the floor. But if you look behind the curtain of this Hollywood-level tech drama, who do you think was pulling the strings and providing the raw, unadulterated power? You guessed it, Nvidia. It's like everyone else was building cars while Jensen built the only gas station. Every single time you ask an AI to write a poem or summarize a meeting, there's a very high probability that an Nvidia chip is doing the heavy lifting in a dark server room somewhere. It's the ultimate evidence of their absolute dominance. Their chips are essentially untouchable at this point, which is a terrifying fact for their competitors. Is it genius or just overwhelming power? It isn't just about raw speed anymore. It's about the massive ecosystem they have spent decades building. Remember when we talked about CUDA, that billion-dollar gamble from 2006 that everyone mocked? Well, it finally paid off in the biggest way possible. Developers have spent nearly 2 decades building their entire workflows on Nvidia's platform. Switching to a competitor now would be like trying to learn a completely different language overnight while you're in the middle of a major speech. It's a genius business move that has effectively locked everyone into their world. However, some people are whispering that it's starting to look like a monopoly in the making. Is it a fair win? Or is Nvidia just too good at what they do? Over on the X streets, the haters and competitors are definitely feeling the heat. We are witnessing the ultimate revenge arcs from the likes of Google, Amazon, and Meta. These tech giants are absolutely addicted to Nvidia's hardware, and let me tell you, they hate it. They are spending billions of dollars to develop their own custom chips just to break free from the Jensen-shaped shadow that looms over them. It's a high-stakes game of cat and mouse that keeps the industry on its toes. But despite their massive budgets and genius engineers, catching up to Nvidia is like trying to catch a rocket ship with a bicycle. The lead is massive, and their culture keeps them miles ahead. Of course, with this much hype comes the inevitable bubble speculation. You can't go 5 minutes on a financial news site without seeing an analyst panicking about the stock prices. Is this a tulip mania situation all over again? Some people are genuinely terrified that the stock value is just a house of cards ready to collapse. Are we all just standing a company that is massively overvalued by the markets? Or are we actually witnessing the first true industrial revolution of the digital age? The gossip is split down the middle. Some say the crash is coming any day now, while others argue that AI is the new electricity and Nvidia is the only power grid that matters. But wait, because the future gossip is even wilder. If you thought the H100 was fast, wait until you hear the T on the next-gen chips, codenamed Blackwell. They are being described as insane and world-altering, as tech insiders are calling it a level of performance that makes today's supercomputers look like basic calculators. It's the kind of power that could lead to medical breakthroughs or incredible discoveries. And what about the man behind the legend? Jensen Huang is on a trajectory to potentially become the first trillionaire CEO. Will he be the first to reach that milestone? Will he ever take off that iconic leather jacket? Probably not. It has become a symbol of a man who bet it all on a future that no one else believed in. So what do you think? Is Nvidia the future of humanity, or are we just living in their simulation? Is Jensen the hero or the gatekeeper? Drop your wildest theories in the comments. The AI war is just getting started, and right now Nvidia is wearing the crown, but the crown is heavy, and the rivals are getting desperate. Stay tuned, because this story is far